ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 8, title Attaining the Supreme, verse number 7. If you want to repeat, you can repeat after me. Then some of you will speak and we will repeat after you. Tasmat sarvesu kalesu
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
mam anusarmara yuddha cha
माम् अनुस्मर युध्य च
maya arpita manor buddhi
मयि अर्पितो मनो बुद्धिर्
mama vishyasi asamsaya
माम् एवैष्यस्य असंशयः
tasmat sarvesu kalesu
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
मामे अनुस्मर उद्ध्य च
माम् अनुस्मर युध्य च
मयार्पितमयो नो बुद्धिर्
मयि अर्पितो मनो बुद्धिर्
माम अविश्वासी असंशय.
माम् एवैष्यसि असंशयः
Any Prabhuji or Mataji would like to lead?
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
माम् अनुस्मर युध्य च
माम अनुस्मर युद्ध च
मयि अर्पितो मनो बुद्धिर्
मयार्पितो मनोर्बुद्धि
माम् एवैष्यसि असंशयः
माम अविश्यसि असंशय.
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
तस्मात्
तस्मात्
सर्वेषु
सर्वेषु
कालेषु
कालेषु
मम अनुस्मरा उद्धाय च
माम
माम्
अनुस्मर युद्ध च
मायि अर्पिता मनोबुद्धिर्
मयि
अर्पितो मनोर्बुद्धिर्
माम् अविश्वासि असंशया
माम्
माम
एवैष्यसि
अविश्यासि
असंशयः
असंशय.
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
तस्मात्
तस्मात्
सर्वेषु
सर्वेषु
कालेषु
कालेषु
मा अनुस्मर युध्य च
माम अनुस्मर युद्ध च
मया अर्पित मनोर्बुद्धि
मया अर्पित
मनोबुद्धिर्
मनोर्बुद्धिर्
माम वेशस्य संशयः.
माम विश्यासि संशय. Anyone else? Word by word meaning. Tasmat, therefore. Sarvesu, at all. Kalesu, times. Mam, me. Anusmara, go on remembering. Yuddha, fight. Cha, also. Mai, unto me. Arpita, surrendering. Mana, mind. Buddhi, intellect. Mam, unto me. Eva, surely. Yasyasi, you will attain. Asamsaya, beyond a doubt. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Anyone wants to read the purport?
Yes, the instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements, and one can continue them and at the same time think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's names, one will be transferred to the supreme planet, Krishna Loka, without a doubt.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And if everyone can chant the invocation pranam mantra. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapadakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpataruvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivash Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you so much everyone for joining this wonderful Saturday evening Bhakti Vriksha, where we take one of the top 108 verses from Bhagavad Gita one after another in a sequential manner, in a systematic manner, and try to understand what the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Purna Purushottam Krishna, is saying. And in doing so, it gives a very different perspective of the life. And here, another powerful verse, which is one of the top 108 verses of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna, prior to this, we talked about Antakale, Yam Yam, the last two verses where, Krishna is giving a perspective about what happens when we get to the end of life, when we are on the deathbed. And here Krishna is giving an example. As you can see, Krishna is saying, therefore, Arjuna. So, what is the example he is giving here in terms of going detail? First, he came up with the principle of Antakale, and then he talked about Yam Yam, where he talks about slightly going into detail, and now he's getting more detail about that thing of the Antakale, which is Tasmat Sarvesu Kalesu, and we should focus on Mam Anushramara Yuddhacha. That means Arjuna is a Kshatriya, and his basic principle of his activity based on the Varnashram Dharma is Yuddha, right? To fight, Yuddhacha. So the second line we should construct as if whatever is our prescribed duty, we should end up doing that. And then Krishna says, Maya arpita manor buddhi. Arpita means surrender. So you should surrender not just, the outcome of the work just as is, but you should surrender the mano, the mind, and buddhi, the intelligence. So whenever you're doing your duty, you should anusmara. Anusmara means go on remembering. So you'll be remembering him when you're doing your duty. And while doing your duty, you will be surrendering your mind and buddhi. And then by doing this, you'll attain me. So essentially, the middle two lines are very, very practical for us to understand. The Krishna is not asking you to go to Himalayas. Krishna is not asking you to go and do meditation in a seated place somewhere. So Krishna is saying Yuddhacha. Yuddhacha means Arjuna is a Kshatriya. So he has to fight. So he has to do your duty. For us, whatever our duty is, we have to do the duty. Anusmara means, so whenever you are basically doing your duty, you should remember me. Remember Krishna. And then you should basically surrender arpita. What you will surrender? You'll surrender your mind and intelligence, mano and buddhi. So essentially, that's what this verse is all about. And Srila Prabhupada is taking it to a different level by saying it is not easy to remember Krishna at the time of death because your mind is not free from material contamination. So if you end up doing the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. At the time, the chances of you remembering Krishna is more because you have constantly chanted his name. Otherwise, at that time, there will be a lot of pain and it will not be possible to remember. So, whenever there is an element of natural remembrance, whenever you think about remembering someone, who do you remember? Basically, the people you love, right? You don't remember people who you do not know about or you hate. But in a positive atmosphere, you'll always remember about the people you love. So more you inculcate that element of love in your life, love for Krishna in your life, you'll remember. And that is why Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas have given this process of chanting the holy name. When you chant, sometimes you're chanting so much you're every day. Sometimes, even if there is a bit of a work which needs, you should always be chanting with a focused mind. But when sometimes you become unfocused, you still can chant collectively. You can chant properly Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. When even if you are basically, trying to do something or respond to someone urgently, but that is not the right thing to do. But the right thing is to always focus. So because you have chanted the holy, the propensity of you remembering Krishna at the end of Antakale, at the end, is more. So here Krishna is saying, remember. And remember, we talked a little bit about generating that element of love. The second thing is, Krishna is not asking us to go anywhere else. Just keep doing whatever your duty. And when you are doing the duty, you should surrender your mind and your intelligence. That's what is. So Krishna, in a nutshell, in this verse is saying, remember Krishna, do your duty, and surrender. So if you go a little bit detail, Krishna is saying, Anusmara, Anusmarana, Smarana. In the past verse, Krishna is using Smarana. Smaranam, go on remembering. So you have to remember. And Yuddha means do your duty. Krishna, Arjuna's case, he was a Kshatriya. He didn't want to fight, but his duty was to fight. So he had to do your duty. And Arpita, that means surrendering. And what is surrendering? Mana and Buddhi, mind and intellect. So remembering to do your duty by surrendering mind, and remembering to do your duty by surrendering your intellect. So that's essentially what this verse is. So remember Krishna, do your duty, and surrender mind and intellect. So this three things has to be taken in the right perspective. Kamsa was always remembering Krishna, that the eighth child of Devaki is going to kill me, remembering. And in doing so, he was not really doing his duty of leading the kingdom properly, and he was not surrendering the mind and intellect. So remembering alone is not enough. Remember is a good thing. Remember is actually 1/3 of the thing. And remembering, you have to do the duty. And whenever you're doing the duty, you're getting some money from your job, and you're spending your intelligence in doing your job, you're spending your mind in doing your job. Some of the outcome of that in the form of whatever it is, whether it is material or physical, you have to surrender that in the form of charity. So that's essentially what Krishna is saying here. If you have ended up doing that, there is a very good chance that you will remember Krishna at the time of death. And in doing that, the example we had given in the past class is, you have worked very hard, but in the final exam, final semester exam, you don't do well, then you fail in that exam, then you have to repeat the entire life, or rather the entire semester. So likewise, you have to prepare and you have to do your end game properly so that you pass this exam and you do not have to stay in the same class again and again. And that is the spirit of this discussion. So the intent is to remember Krishna, and how we remember, the process is there. We have to do our duty. We have to do our duty to our family. We have to do our duty to our spiritual progress, to our guru, to our sadhu and sastra. And we have to also surrender our mind and intellect. So, in order to really take the duty part apart, Krishna later has said, Yad ahankaram ashrita na yatso iti manyase mityaisya vyavasayaste prakritistvam niyokshati. So Krishna is saying, if you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. So what Krishna is saying here is, if you do not do what I am prescribing to you, you will end up doing something else. You will be misdirected. You'll do something else, see TV, see cricket, or see things which are not very favorable in your Krishna consciousness. You'll try to enjoy, because the propensity of any human being is to look for something. If you have an empty glass in the evening, there are people who resort to intoxication. If the glass is filled with fruit juice, if the glass is filled with water, they will have no chance of mixing any alcohol and consuming it. But if the glass is empty, there's a very good chance that they will resort to taking some misdirected thing which is not proper. And that's exactly what Krishna is saying here. Because our mind is such, it's going to wander, it's going to fill with void. That's why they say idle mind is devil's workshop. If the mind is not free, you are always thinking about Krishna, you're remembering Krishna, you're doing bhajan of Krishna, you're doing some cooking for Krishna, you're reading some books for Krishna, and you're working hard, you're getting some certification, and because of the certification, your salary goes up by $10,000. You think that $10,000 I can help in building a cart for the Lord of the universe, or that $10,000 you can use in service of Krishna in any form or shape, then you're really spiritualizing that material thing. That's why it is mentioned by Krishna that if you do not follow me, you'll end up following someone, which is not right. You'll follow some Baba. The Baba is actually misdirect you, because the Baba is not Bhagavan in this case. If the Baba would have been Bhagavan, then he would have had all the opulences, because Bhavaga needs all the opulences. These Babas, they proclaim themselves to be Bhagavan. They neither have beauty, nor have strength, nor have renunciation, which is exactly what Bhagavan is all about. So don't let your mind get controlled by a misdirected entity. Stay focused, because this is Bhagavad Gita as it is, which is spoken millions and millions of years ago to Suryadev. And this is not at a time when all these Babas were there. So it is very important for us to recognize who to surrender to. Don't surrender to so what is happening in this world is people are very selfish. They try to capture your attention by saying something which is very eloquent, but at the end of the day, it is their gains which they are focused about. So that's the reason why Krishna is saying, better follow me, otherwise you will follow someone else. And once you are misdirected, you'll engage in intoxication, lack of regulation, and that is going to spoil your life. So who to surrender, when to surrender, how to surrender is very, very clear in this verse, and we do not have to go elsewhere. So, and there is a second thing which Krishna is speaking here. Krishna is talking about remembering and surrendering. So, as you can see, Yashodamai is remembering Krishna all the time in terms of serving Krishna in terms of whether he is actually well fed, whether he is taking the milk in the right time, whether he is in a good shape, and why there is a lot of complaint in Krishna's name in the form of stealing butter. Why is so Yashodamai is always remembering, and we have this beautiful Damodar pastime which is coming up where Krishna is being bound by a rope by Yashodamai. Damodar, as you know, Damo means rope, Udara means waist. So Damodar means Krishna is trying to be bound by a rope around the waist, as you can see here. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He cannot be bound by anybody. He can only be bound by surrender. So whenever Yashodamai was trying to bind Krishna, the rope always used to be 2 fingers short. And our acharyas mentioned these 2 fingers are something we'll cover during the Kartik month, which is coming up in a week's time. But the point here is, after doing regular binding with perspiration coming from Yashodamai, she cannot bind, and finally she surrenders. When she finally surrenders, Krishna becomes the little Lalla of Yashodamai, and then he gives up, and he was bound by the rope finally, because he is bound by the pure love of the devotee. And when the devotee surrenders, he surrenders to the devotee. So that's the essence of remembering. So Yashodamai was always remembering. So he used to always prepare milk products and was serving Krishna. And as you can see, so beautifully depicted in the Kartik month in the Damodar Lila. And after remembering, Krishna is also talking about surrendering. So as you can see in the next picture, Mother Kunti, who is actually the mother of all the 5 Pandavas, is asking Krishna, rather requesting Krishna to protect. And as you know, millions of warriors fought the Battle of Kurukshetra in Mahabharata, and only a handful, only 100 warriors got their life. I mean, they left the war without dying, and 5 Pandavas were one of the 100 who took their life. So when Mother Kunti is requesting Lord Krishna to protect the kids, Mother Kunti was so surrendered. She has so much of faith that sun may become cooler and ice may become hotter, but Krishna will never cease to protect his devotees. So that's the level of confidence Mother Kunti had. As you can see in this picture, he is requesting before the war to protect the 5 Pandavas, and Krishna gives them the vow. And Mother Kunti, there are a lot of difficulties which came. We can go on and on, but finally, the end game is Krishna protects his devotees, and not a single thing happened to him. So Mother Kunti is totally surrendered. Whether it is happiness, Mother Kunti will accept with happiness. Whether it is sadness, whether it is misery, Mother Kunti will accept misery with happiness. So whenever we have to learn about surrender, we have to learn from Mother Kunti. Whenever we want to learn about remembering, we have to learn from Mother Yashoda. If you think about these 2 personalities, I think you have understood this verse properly. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Think about what Yashodamai was doing when he was constantly remembering about Krishna in every step of the way. And when you think about surrender, always think of Mother Kunti, and never surrender yourself to the current crop of religious swamis who pretend that they can solve every problem. They cannot solve their own problem. So, but Krishna protects his devotees. He never ceases to protect his devotees. So when you think about this, you think about the paradox in terms of how during Ramayana, Ayodhya, everybody was so pious. The entire people in the Treta Yuga, in the Ayodhya, It was as if they have got the Sanskriti, they have got the culture with them. And the Lanka was just the opposite. They were demoniac people, they are not regulated, and they were full of Bikriti in their mindset. And Kiskinda, which is in the middle between Ayodhya and Lanka, signifies Prakriti. So Sanskriti, Bikriti, and Prakriti signifies the place of Ayodhya, Lanka, and Kiskinda. So in Kiskinda, the following for Ramji was purely at the surrender level, exactly like how the Prakriti is created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lanka, the people who are totally defying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ramji. And Sanskriti is purely based on how the culture is valued. So in this paradoxical situation, Ramji built a bridge, and Ramji killed the demoniac personification who doesn't give the right element of respect to our mothers. A person who violates by snatching deserves to be killed. And Ramji did it. So much of difficulty Ramji faced with, and there is so much of paradox which went through it. But the folks, the Vanaras, and who surrendered, they helped him. Where Ramji is sending a strong message to all of us that if you are on the side of the nescience or wrong, then Ramji gives too many times options for them to come out. Finally, on the day of the war, which was on Dasara, which was yesterday, Ramji told, better surrender now. Now is still the time. Return Mother Sita with respect. You can be the leader of Lanka, but Ravana didn't pay any heed to it. He didn't surrender. And when you are on the wrong side, then you deserve to be killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in order to remember and in order to surrender, we have to practice. We have to practice the chanting of the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You may think it is mechanical, but it is not, because the sound vibration of this mantra goes to the inner workings of your body. And you remember in Vrindavan, sometimes when our devotees go on parikrama, even dogs join the Harinam Sankirtan, because the Mahamantra is so sublime, it transcends not just human beings, it goes into dogs, it goes into cats. So if you internalize this and chant this mantra properly, then your chance of remembering will be stronger than someone who is not doing anything. So as Krishna is saying, see, Srila Prabhupada gave the medicine of Bhagavad Gita in the form of a consumable situation, in the form of how we can collectively internalize it, assimilate it, take the scientific process of chanting, and eventually this will help us in remembering and help us in surrendering. And that is exactly what this practice is all about. Chant the holy name properly. Even if you're chanting 1 round, 2 round, give a qualitative chanting so that your chance of remembering the Supreme is stronger. And how the surrender has to be taken care. So if you see this picture, you see there is a rat being killed by a cat on the left side. So when that is happening, for the rat, the cat is fear personified. And it is exactly how Ramji killed Ravana, fear personified. Finally, Kamsa, when he was killed by Krishna, who was in his teens, he was evoking fear all the time. But the same cat, exactly like how he- she is holding the baby kitten on the right side, but the kitten is immensely pleased. From the same neck, the kitten is being held, but that is an element of surrender. You see how the surrender gives happiness on the right side. So when you have surrender thing in your mind, you always believe that whenever you are in trouble, Krishna is there to protect you. So you have that element of solace that Krishna is there to protect you. So the same situation, different places, it has a different bearing. And that is why there is so much of happiness in surrendering to the right person. If you surrender, there is an element of confidence that Krishna is protecting you. So whoever Krishna can protects, nobody can kill, and whoever Krishna wants to kill, nobody can protect. So it is very, very important that we recognize this and start the process of chanting seriously so that we will strengthen our process of remembering and surrendering. And with remembering and surrendering, Krishna is telling, you can attend me. And it is not difficult. You don't have to leave your job. You don't have to go to Himalayas. You just have to do the job, and you have to. So whenever you have gone to the job, you have realized that whatever I earn, I have to uh, surrender some portion of that to the Lord of the universe, Lord Jagannath or Sham Sundar or Gaurnitai in his uh, in his activities. So you're basically spending your energy, you're spending your intellect, and you're spending your mind, as Krishna says in this verse. Manobuddhir, Arpita Manobuddhi. So you're indirectly surrendering that. So when you're surrendering that, you have worked hard for it. So you're spending your time, and whatever money you got, you're surrendering. You're Arpitam. You're basically surrendering. And then you're doing your duty. You're doing Yuddhacha. That means based on your prescribed duty, you're doing that. And you are Anusmarana. So because you have a determined thing in mind of working to get some of the activities of the Lord in place, you are constantly thinking and you are constantly remembering. So that's the reason why this entire thing, what I just mentioned, is nothing but what Prabhupada says, devotional service. So once you are devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and you're doing some service, you're remembering and you're doing your duty by going to a job, and then you are surrendering the mind and intelligence. So if this is not devotional service, then there is nothing which is devotional service. So Lord Krishna is explaining Bhagavad Gita 8.7 to do your devotional service so that it becomes internalized, and it doesn't become a shock that you come to the end and you are not able to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So with that, I'd like to end here. If you have any question or comment, please go ahead. And there's a lot to talk about, but essentially the spirit of this words lies in doing the duty with remembering and eventually surrendering our mind and intelligence. So with that, I'd like to end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Any question or comments, Prabhu? Or your realizations?
So, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhu, so you already mentioned that whenever we can do something, we can remember Krishna. So that means we are doing the work and at the same time or in the background we should chant or something like that. What is that?
No, I mean, you don't have to chant when you're doing the work, Prabhu. But what, see, whenever you left India, for example, Prabhu, and now you are here. But when your parents go old, you remember your parents, you remember how they're doing, the hardship they have taken, and then you you are you look at a news in the TV, and then something happens in India, then you reflect, are my mothers and father, are my parents doing well, because something flood happened. So you are constantly engage. So whoever you love, you care, right? So that's what Krishna is. Krishna has created this universe. Krishna has created these beautiful streams, mountains, trees, and you are living in this. We are not. We are basically using Krishna's property. So we should be indebted. So that sense of um, that indebtion is something which we all should inculcate. So whenever something happens, some bad things happens, as it's happening, people are not being very controlled, you can just chant Hare Krishna, you can remember. So it's a internalization process. It's not a show off process. It's not to be externalized. So as long as you see everything in connection to Krishna, and that these people who are vandalizing the religious places of worship, may Krishna protect him, may Krishna take care of him, because they don't know what they're doing. That's exactly what happened to Jesus Christ. So so our desire to Krishnaize our life is something what is meant by remembering Prabhu. Does that help, Prabhu?
Yes, that helps, Prabhu, but you are talking about the not showing. That is correct. We should not do the show business, but we should protest at least. Otherwise, we cannot. If you don't stand up, everyone means
Right,
that. So we should gather and protest at least.
right.
Otherwise, it will go and go on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what Prabhuji is mentioning is, in some countries there has been vandalism of ISKCON temples, and what Prabhuji is saying, that there is actually a process. So there is nothing wrong in protesting peacefully, because we have a process. Because in this country you have free rights of faith and free rights to of your speech. So you definitely should protest, because because this is exactly what happened to Kauravas. Sorry, Pandavas. They were mistreated again and again and again. And finally, when the time came, they protested. And when they didn't listen, there was Kurukshetra. So we are supposed to follow the right method as dictated by the laws of the country. And in that, uh, we should attempt to voice our free things. Everybody is supposed to, people from all faith should voice their opinion. And in this extent, when there is oppression happening, absolutely, there's no denying that. And yes, Prabhuji, I agree with you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very good, Prabhu.
Haribol. Any other comments, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Babaji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam. So my question is that let's say if a person is in mode of passion or ignorance, and at the same time, let's say if he remembers Krishna and perform his duty, so still is he able to attain him?
In the mode of passion and ignorance, um, see, this is what happened to Ajamil. But Ajamil had a different pious credits. Ajamil was a wonderful Brahmana. Uh, Bhakti Ratnakar Prabhu, we cannot hear you, if that is what you're asking. You were unmuted, but we couldn't hear you. Now we are able to hear Niranjan Prabhu and Ashish Karuna Jagannath Prabhu, but we couldn't hear you. But after this, we'll see what issue you have. So, Prabhu, so these modes are essentially which drives your decisions. So if you have mode of passion, there's a very good chance. Actually, some of our devotees are actually working in there's a term which I'm not able to remember. They work in the hospital. So when people uh, are going through the end life, they counsel them. They are basically spiritual counselors when people are going through the end of their life. And actually, one of them is our devotee. Some of them are our Dinabandhu Prabhu is there, Mataji is there. They are counselors. So what they say, you'll be very surprised, Prabhu, how these things can take shape. The people who have led their life with a lot of passion, at the end, they never ever think about Krishna. They think about some things which I cannot even utter in this class. They, their thought process is totally messed up. They think about meat eating. They think about, very. So to get to the point, if your mind has not been cleansed over a period of time, which is this process of chanting the Mahamantra, there's a very less chance that you would be chanting, you would be thinking about your business, you would be thinking about your family, you would be thinking about, because you have led a life of 70-80 years with so much of material possession. So it's very difficult. And you can talk to the spiritual counselors. Sometimes their last desire is so weird you cannot even think about. They want to eat something, so the point I want to make here is we have to use these facts which people have gone through in inculcating that in our lives. So it's not easy to be in the mode of passion and still be able to chant Hare Krishna. Um, I mean, you can't have the cake and eat it too, because once you eat the cake, you don't have the cake. So it's like that, Prabhu. Does that help, Prabhu?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Yes. And one more thing I just want to know, when we say transcendental to modes of nature, okay. So basically all the living beings, they are into mode of goodness, passion or ignorance, right? So basically all the three combination of these three, right? So
Absolutely.
when you say transcendental to the modes of natural nature, what does it mean, Prabhu? Like,
Yeah, so what it means is, see, at any part of the day, let me give an example. In the morning, when you get up, you're probably in the mode of goodness. Okay, there your mind is calm. But as you get into multiple meetings, then a lot of argument goes on. Then you do not uh, stay. Then you try to outbid the other person. And as the night progresses, the night is the mode of ignorance. You don't know what's happening. So transcending the mode of goodness, transcending to the higher modes means that by virtue of your practice, you are transcending from mode of ignorance to mode of passion, mode of passion to mode of goodness, and and you are advancing. So at any point in time, I have some mode of goodness, some passion, some ignorance. But so we have to increase our mode of goodness by constant practice, be humble and all that, what we discussed, and eventually that is really going to help us. So we have to practice to make an effort to transcend between these modes by doing some uh, good work, so that we help in advancing in our modes of material nature. Is that okay, bro?
yes, Prabhuji, I got it. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Him Jagannath Prabhu. Can you hear
Now
me
we
now?
can hear you, Prabhu. We can hear you wonderfully.
Okay, I dialed in Prabhuji. For some reason, Zoom was not. I was talking, but I think I was unable to. Same thing. What was happening? I think in the beginning with you. Maybe it's my service, or I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, Prabhuji. Very wonderful class. If you're in the middle of a point, I don't want to.
No. You go ahead. You go ahead. No, I just answered
Okay.
Niranjan Prabhu's question. You go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, it's a very, very wonderful class as usual, Prabhuji, as always. The best point what I liked is the example you gave, Prabhuji, that when the glass is half filled, means if the glass is not filled, we tend to fill it with other things. That's a very, very appropriate example for what is happening with us. So definitely we should fill up our mind more with a what Krishna is prescribing than what we otherwise we tend to always Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Maharaj always says that if you look towards Krishna, it is easier. If you look away from Krishna, Maya will catch you. So we should. So the moment we leave that half, if we empty our glass, naturally Maya will come and occupy that empty space. But if the glass is always filled with respect to practice, reading, all the ABCDs basically. ABCD means association, books, chanting, and devotional service. If we fill this, then the glass will be always full, Prabhuji. So I like that example very much. Thank you. One point which I wanted to point out here is that intellect. Intellect, Krishna has told with you have to surrender with mind and intellect. So Prabhupada in his many explanations and in many discussions also, he told that you can surrender, but don't surrender with blind faith. So that's where my one point I want to tell is that we have to use our intellect how to surrender also. Means with what mindset we have to surrender. Of course, definitely it is said in Shastras. We can blindly believe it and follow it, which is nothing. That's what in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that some people are not educated or anything, but just by listening to others, they will follow. So that approach is also not bad. But here what I want to tell is that since we are we try to be so-called educated, materially educated, so we try to derive different logic from the things, right? So the intellect here, I want to emphasize that point with respect to intellect, that intellect has to be very refined so that we know what we are doing, how to surrender. Basically, when you told that when, the how to surrender part we have to do with the intellect. That's why Prabhupada many times in his explanations has told that don't try to blindly follow, just try, don't blindly accept it. You have to internalize, as you have told, you have to internalize it, that what Krishna is trying to say. Krishna may try to say for the same circumstance to Arjuna, he told one thing, but to Kunti, he told a different thing, though the situation is the same. So he gives, and how that intellect comes, that also he has mentioned, that he gives that intellect, but that for the, what is the basis? He says that I light the lamp of the knowledge in their hearts. That is what the intellect is. That is what also we get from Krishna. But how to subscribe for that, to get from Krishna that lamp of knowledge, lamp of light, is what you have mentioned, practice. So when we surrender and practice, then we can remember with knowledge. When you remember with knowledge, Prabhuji, we will never forget. That is what the basic principle is, that we tend to forget because Maya is there. So by right, the point which I am trying to tell here is that the intellect has to be rightly driven, and it has to be given, and it is given by Krishna, that those who surrender and those who practice, he gives the right intellect to follow.
Perfect. Yeah. So the intellect, Prabhuji spoke a little bit about intellect. So in this world, as you know, and there was a Srimad Bhagavatam Katha going on during the weekday, there's a lot of duality in this world. And actually last time also we spoke about duality, because there is always a two views. So people say Ravana had the right to kidnap Sita because Ramji's brother Lakshman cut the nose of Suparnakha. It's all made up. That's not right. That thought process will only come if your intellect is not driven by Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. In this world, as you heard Prabhuji yesterday, and also different places, somebody put a spiritual text under the feet of um, a presiding deity of a event, and that created tension. Should that have been done? No. But in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, people are looking in a way to mess up the pristine thought process. That's why this intelligence is so corrupt in this world, and that is why you have to rely on Krishna to light up that lamp, and in addition to that, make sure through Guru and Sadhu and Shastra you derive the right intelligence. Yes, Prabhuji, thank you for sharing that.
Prabhuji, one more point which I wanted to bring in the same line. If he referred to 2:16, Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 2nd chapter, 16th verse, Prabhuji. I read that every day. That's how I know that it is. Usually I'm not good at remembering these numbers, but since I read that, it clearly says how intellect is very important. Means Prabhupada writes like this, purport goes like this, Prabhuji. The purport says that you can use your mind and you can create nuclear weapons. You can use your intellect, basically. Here, mind means intellect here. You can create your intellect and you can be materialistic, and ultimately you can create nuclear weapons. Or you can dovetail your intellect, because our intellect is governed by the different humors of the body. What are the humors? Lust, anger, greed, pride. These are the humors of the body. So he says that these humors of the body, if you don't, these humors are always bothering you. Either you are happy, sad, you have pride, or you are angry, right? So some or other humor of the body keeps bothering our mind. But if we divert that and if we focus that on the devotional activities, again with the 24 hours, nobody's Krishna has never asked, and you have mentioned very clearly that we don't have to be meditating all the 24 hours. No. What it means that we have to dovetail our intellect such that even if suppose we are working also, we should not have the ego of I am doing this. This is I am getting, so that I will become basically your problem, and you'll try to enjoy the fruits. But the time, as you have explained, when we try to sacrifice, I won't say sacrifice also, Prabhuji. First of all, it is not ours. It is given by Krishna only. So I won't say it is a sacrifice. But if we part with what Krishna has given us, basically we are creating an harmony. It is the same as the law of momentum, Prabhuji. M1 V1 is equal to M2 V2 always. Finally, it remains the same. The velocities just get interchanged. So similarly, what we are doing is that by parting with this parting with the end result, what we are getting through our service, we are in turn helping Krishna only. Krishna then otherwise Krishna has to figure out how to balance these, how to take money from this person and give it to this person in a right way and all that, right? We are reducing that burden on him if we are trying to do. And at the same time, it is purifying us. Sorry for a little detour, but the point which I'm coming to the 2:16 is that, so Prabhupada clearly writes that we will, the humors of the body, if they are if they are replaced by the devotional service, then our mind and body intellect, our mind and intellect which you have in this verse, they will be automatically, you become the, you are not the seer of the truth. What Krishna does is that, what Prabhupada explains is that Krishna sees you that time. You are not the seer. Krishna is the seer. And when Krishna sees you, you get the labdopashanti, the word they use, which means you get the bliss of that. So
Yeah.
the path which is Prabhupada has asked us to follow in the purport is in 2.2.16 is that you clear your mind and your intellect from the humors of the body, and when you try to, after clearing, just don't sit, do the devotional service. And when we do the devotional service, Krishna sees us and he gives us the bliss. So this is the path which he has. I wanted to just point out this.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
Prabhuji.
So essentially, what is the right intelligence is often clarified by Krishna, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And as long as we dovetail that in our process of see this, and if the intelligence is sharpened by these methods, eventually, and that what the end game is nothing but devotional service, it will give us that element of bliss. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So, is there any other question or comments, Prabhuji? Anybody wants to add anything? Okay. If there is none, let's end here by offering obeisances to the lotus feet of Vaishnavas by chanting Vancha Kalpataruvascha Prasindhu Vaivacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namo. Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jagannath Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna.